Okay, I just turned on the recording and hopefully everybody can see my screen. And I'm just going to do a quick roll call, or actually, I'm going to ask each person to provide their name and company. So I'm looking at my screen. I'll go in that order. Kat?
All right, so I am Kat Hall. I am the head of GXP Quality Assurance at Ignite.
Okay. Keisha?
Hi, I'm Keisha Mitchell. I am an Associate Director of Procurement, supporting research at Gilead Sciences.
Thank you. Sasha?
Hi, I'm Sascha Sonnenberg, heading Global Business Development at Samaclis.
Sharma?
Yes, good morning, all. Sorry, I got delayed a couple of minutes. My name is Shesh, and I run my own consulting firm, and I consult with cell and gene therapy companies. So I have a specialization in operations-related aspects of cell and gene therapy.
Thank you. Charles?
Hi, Charles Enriquez. I'm head of supply chain, Allogene Therapeutics.
Thank you. Simon?
I am Simon Kaviezel, former Thermo Fisher Clinical Supplies Program Director, these days individual contributor.
Okay, Tony?
Hi, I'm Tony Smith. I am the Director of Clinical Supply Logistics at Arcus Biosciences.
Thank you. Kristen?
Hi, everyone. Kristen DeVito. I'm Executive Director of Clinical Supply at Exelixis.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? Okay, thank you. And two of the folks on this, I just wanted to acknowledge Keisha and Sharma, our special guests to this call, who are two of the three co-chairs for the Strategic Sourcing Steering Committee. So I thought it would be useful to have them attend this so that they can get the experience of a BSMA steering committee meeting before they jump in both feet for the one that they're heading up on October 1st. So welcome all. So
Thanks,
the
Bill.
agenda, okay. So we have a lot of a big agenda today. So I'm going to try to fly through the first parts on the agenda, starting with an update about the BSMA steering committees and workstream groups, a brief discussion about the BSMA website, hand it over to Kat for the survey results, then the webinars that are scheduled for the rest of this year, and spend hopefully the most of the time for today's call about the 2026 annual conference. So I'm not going to go over the first slide here because most of you have already seen it, but for those who haven't, feel free to refer to your deck about what the scope of is of all the steering committees. And I highlighted the bottom one there because I think that's sort of what we want to focus on today at the end, particularly when we talk about the annual conference. So I was surprised that to learn a couple months ago that not everybody on this steering committee is aware about the other steering committees, and also there may be some confusion because there's some I don't want to say overlap, but there's some areas such as digital transformation and logistics that have more than one group. We have the steering committees that are listed here. And then we have workstream groups that are specific to the and fall under the Clinical Supply Chain Steering Committee. And I'll expand upon that in a minute. But for the purpose of this slide is to let you know that this particular meeting is the Clinical Supply and Operations Steering Committee meeting. A slight twist to the name. It used to have commercial in it. Well, we do talk about commercial up through and including launch, but its primary focus is clinical centric. And we currently have 4 work stream groups that fall under it. And again, I'll talk about that in a minute. We have the cell and gene therapy, the digital transformation, transportation logistics, industry initiative, and the soon to kick off on October 1st strategic sourcing steering committee. And one thing that you should all know is, with the exception of Keisha and Sharma, none of you have been invited to this, and that's not because I want to exclude you, but rather than invite this entire steering committee, I'm reaching out to you now saying if you or someone in your department who has responsibility for strategic sourcing or purchasing wants to be involved in this steering committee, let me know, and certainly I'm happy to add you to that group and invite you to the meeting on October 1st. So I'll pause for a second. Is there anybody on this call that would like to get an invitation to this meeting that hasn't already? Okay. Most of the folks on this call are also co-chairs of one of the workstream groups. So this slide is nothing new to you. But again, I wanted to highlight one of the charters within that group, which is to encourage collaboration for participants. So it's not just putting on webinars, but encouraging participation, ideally during your bi-monthly calls, and for that matter, even in between calls, if people want to continue discussion on a topic that they're passionate about, by all means do so. Another objective of the workstream group is that we see it as a way of expanding BSMA community by attracting new biopharma companies, expanding the membership, which in the beginning, you might recall before we had the workstream groups, was primarily the heads of supply chain, but with the workstream groups, the idea is to expand beyond that to folks within within supply chain, such as in logistics, planning, warehousing, etc., and to allow or encourage participation from groups outside of supply chain, such as ClinOps, IoT, process improvement, manufacturing, quality, finance, etc. And last but not least, to encourage solution providers who often have the solutions and ideas and experience to help the subject matter experts in these areas, or those who want to become subject matters in these areas, to learn about solutions that they may not be familiar with. We currently have 4 workstream groups. Most of the folks on this call are aware of them. There's the potential, depending on the how the IRT webinar goes, that we'll have a 5th IRT, a 5th workstream group on IRT. Moving quickly, I wanted to let everybody know that there's been a lot of work improving the and expanding the BSMA website. I trust people can see what I'm showing on the homepage of the website right now.
I can see it, Bill.
Okay, great. So you'll see that up at the top there's a few tabs.
I can. Sorry, I can
and-
see. I can't see the website, Bill.
You can or cannot?
Cannot.
Can anybody see it?
No,
Ah,
Oh, we still see the presentation.
no worries. They'll take a look. That's okay.
okay.
But the point you're making is a dramatic improvement.
Yeah.
Bill, I took a quick peek at it. It looks awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, suffice it to say that you can, as stated on this slide, there's places there for people to see see information about the various steering committees and work steering groups. There's a tab for people if they're interested in joining any of those steering committees or work steering groups. There's another tab that shows the dates of the meetings, the webinars, and the workstream meetings. And if people are interested in attending them, they just hit a tab, and right now it gets fed to us. And Kat, I think you saw an example of one today that got fed to Devendra and I forwarded it to you since you're the one who manages the two of the workstream meeting invitations. We can take this one step further by putting the links into there, like what we do when announcing webinars. So if people click on the meeting, it will automatically register them for this event. But feel free to take the time and explore this website for yourself to see that. And last but not least, there's a place that shows the slides and recordings of all our steering committee meetings. Okay, on to the next subject, survey results. Kat, would you mind sharing what you found?
Yeah, if you give me control to do so, I will do that. I think you have to stop sharing so I can share.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I
I didn't know if you had something to share or
give
not,
me
so
permission.
okay.
There we go. All righty. Okay, so in terms of results, and forgive me for 1 second. There we go. I'm working off one little screen because I'm at a conference right now. So hopefully you're not seeing funkiness with the pictures. So as most of you who were in attendance know, because you were some of our respondents, we sent out a survey, and we sent that out to over 338 people. We have had a disappointing response rate at this point. And in some cases, I think my reminders are getting bounced by people's spam. So we've had 13% response. So originally we were going to cut this off this week, but I think we'll continue to try to get it out there. For those that did respond, here's some of the demographics of the people who came back, mostly biotech, as we might expect. Suppliers, some of these others are like consultants, and some more specificity in terms of companies that they work with. But a good amount that are in both clinical and commercial supply chain, with lots and lots of experience, which we love, right? So from that, we did have the majority who were interested in participating in our work streams, which is great. We only had 3 out of the batch that said no. We did enter in late an element where they can say, I just want off the distribution list. I'm happy to say nobody said that. And in terms of the makeup, we have, a good, and I'll just say, nothing against Devendra and Bill, but we expect them to say yes for everything. So reduce all these numbers by 2, because it includes Bill and Devendra across all of them. But, I think we were initially interested in getting a good core number of like 20 to 25 people that we thought would reliably attend our work streams. And that's at least where we are in the numbers right now. I will say some people who responded just said, yes, I want to be involved in everything, which is great, but we also know is slightly unrealistic. Most people don't have the bandwidth to do 5 meetings every month. If you do, great, that's awesome. Or you were like, I just want to be invited, and when I have bandwidth to go to one or the other, that's fine. But you know, I think we'll continue to see how that goes in terms of really getting consistent attendance at the work streams so that we can have effective discussions, which is what the work streams are really about. So I've now compiled this list, and you know, what we had planned to do is for the September meetings that are already on the books, they're already out to like 130 people. We're going to leave those as is. And then after these September meetings, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the distribution list to the people who have said yes, and those that are registered through the website as they come in. And then everybody else is going to kind of drop off. And if we get some element from people of like, wait a minute, where'd this go? You know, that'll come with instructions of like, hey, we didn't hear from you, answer this survey and you can get put back on or go to the website. So not to discourage it, but you know, one of the feedback we've gotten from co-chairs is I don't know who's going to show up, and who's going to show up reliably. So we're trying to fix that problem, and hopefully this is going to get at it.
So thanks, Kat. You know, one of the interesting things I found there is I think that the list that you sent the survey to is a similar list to the names I sent for invitations to 2 of the workstream groups, the logistics and the commercial launch group. And for what it's worth, I went through that list of names, which I think was about 350, give or take, looked at their titles and made a judgment call whether to invite them to the other 2 workstream groups. And for the clinical logistics and trade compliance, we got 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 35, 37 people accept the invite. And that doesn't include another 7 tentative. So it does show a number slightly larger than what this chart says, which sort of suggests not everybody likes to do surveys, but I do think this is a good representation. You know, if you can get 10, 20% of people to respond to any survey, I think we're doing well. And then for the commercial launch, I think we got between 35 and 40 also express interest in attending that work stream. So I think we're well on our way of understanding what the community wants, notwithstanding that it takes a little work to get that information, and a survey is only one way I think that we can do it, although I think it's a very good way. So thanks for your efforts on that.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other
Just an
questions or
observation,
comments?
Bill.
What's that?
Bill, I have a comment. I have a comment to make. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, let me.
You went on mute, Devendra.
Can't hear you. You're on mute. Devendra, you're still on mute.
Video. No, I'm not. I'm okay now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. I want to say that thank you for the great job, Kat and Bill, on the survey. Believe me, 13% is a damn good response. I wish it was 25, but anything more than 10% is excellent. My takeaway was that the service providers, the solution providers, were not adequately represented. Even on this call today, they're not adequately represented. And Bill and I have been of the belief that they are the enterprises that help us, people like Enriquez or Jant or the drug manufacturers with the new solutions, emerging ideas. So we got a job to do there, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is what we just started doing, shame on us, shame on me for not doing this earlier, is we have clearly a lot of people interested in BSMA that maybe haven't been active up to now on workstream groups or steering committees, but we know that at least they are familiar with BSMA and its mission. And by that I mean the people who've attended our last annual conference and the people who have registered for our webinars. So so I have added added those names to our distribution list, which is why I think that the interest in at least the two workstream groups that I was sending invites to, has quadrupled in people interested in attending the next meeting. It's because this is an untapped, as I said, an untapped group of people who are interested and we didn't know about it. And then the last thing is while we've had names of people who've attended the webinars, the registration has historically just provided a name and an email address. And a lot of times people don't even put in their company email address. So we were sort of going blind who these people were. So we've now expanded the registration fields there to include not just name and email address, but company and job title. So it's sort of a new way of capturing information that I think will allow us to sort of direct information to people who I think many of which will appreciate getting the information about areas within BSMA that they're probably interested in involving themselves more with.
Hi, yes, Sasha. I have one further question. One of the survey results or the discussions we have, and Kat, you mentioned it, is that I know we have a lot of people who are invited to the workstream groups, but then only a few show up. Have we any feedback why they are not showing up? Is it the quality of the work streams, the topics that are discussed? Just looking and being self-critical and seeing how we can improve there as well as a work stream lead.
Yeah, originally we did have some additional questions in the survey, and it was felt like it expanded it too long that people might not respond
Okay.
at all. So we kind of took all of that out,
Okay.
unfortunately. But I think it's a good thing to kind of follow up. If we get these people that have said, yes, I want to attend, and then we don't see them, I think that's worth like a secondary outreach.
I know that when the vendor is fishing for new members, he is promising them that this is the best thing in the world and you will get swamped with knowledge and everything, but maybe we're not meeting their expectations. I don't know. So just seeing how we can make this much better.
I think, Sasha, I think you're absolutely right. And by the way, I am not only promising, I think BSM is delivering. It's delivering.
You know,
I
I'm
think, yeah, I know.
He's
But
guaranteeing.
yeah, exactly. This only suggestion I would make to you is something that we have tried to do for quite some time, Rutesh, Bill, and I. When we used to talk about planning once upon a time, the focus was on, hey, join this webinar. We will help you improve your forecasting accuracy. And that didn't ring much of a bell. On the other hand, when we said, come to the webinar on planning, which is focused on reducing waste, it was a 180-degree turn. So my suggestion is we need for our messaging to focus, define the problem, and then people resonate. For example, give yours, and you're doing a damn good job of it. Comparator sourcing. You could very well say, we're going to have a webinar on comparator sourcing, how to do it better. But you know what? Comparator sourcing results in tens and 20 millions of dollars to be spent. So it's a huge investment. That message needs to come across, which is what you're trying to do. So I would say, from my point of view, that is where we can do a much better job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can people see my screen again? And right now it shows webinars.
No, we're
Nope.
seeing all the headshots.
Huh. Can anybody see the webinar slide?
No,
Oh, really?
Now we see the Vendra.
Okay,
yeah, you see me. Yeah, I can.
all right. All
You
right, how
see
am I
me,
gonna get out of here?
Share, reshare usually works.
You need to go back to sharing.
Uh,
Can you read the stuff? I mean, we don't have to see it.
yeah, but let me,
Yeah, if you read the stuff, that'll be good enough.
tell you what, I'm gonna try one more time.
All right, here it comes. There you go.
You got it.
Okay. Okay, can you see a slide that says webinars year to date?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, it's been a good year for webinars, and at least in terms of quality and quantity. So this slide, which shows you that we've had 4 webinars so far this year. And for the rest of the year, actually, between now and the annual conference, we pretty much have something slotted almost to a month, which, putting it another way, we've pretty much hit our limit in terms of what we wish to schedule for webinars between now and the annual conference. The first one coming up, or the next one coming up, which is next week, is being presented by SC Simple. I think most of you should have received or seen some information about that through our marketing efforts. The one after that is being coordinated by Sasha. Sasha, is there anything you want to say about the one scheduled for October 22nd?
No, not much to say. We just yesterday had our last prep call. So we defined the structure of the webinar and developed the questions for the panel or specific panelists. So everything is well set, and we also obtained the last headshot. So we're
Okay,
good to go.
thank you. So you'll start seeing promotional material on that go out starting September 25th. Then Kat, I think you're working behind the scenes on the IoT one. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So we
Okay.
have 3 speakers on board right now, and I'm going to start scheduling meetings with everyone. We're probably going to still bring on 1 or 2 more. I'm just waiting for hear back.
Okay, thanks. Devendra and Rutesh, I think both of you are involved to some degree on the AI topic in November.
Well, Rutesh is my leader. I'm on team.
Okay.
Devendra, I think Rutesh just dropped off a couple of minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, Rutesh is working with Equivia and a few other companies. So the answer is yes, Bill. He will deliver.
Okay. I know Kate Tiemann is working on the strategic packaging and labeling schedule for
Right.
December 2nd or 3rd, don't know which date yet. Some of us on this call have a conference call scheduled with Kinaxis soon to talk about content for a webinar they're planning to do in early January. And then Devendra, back to you. I think you're planning on doing, can you speak at all about the last 2?
Well, I can speak about Mint, and yeah, I can speak about the last two. Uh, for the small and medium-sized companies, we've been learning how deprived they are of systems, and they do not know what they do not know, and they do not know how to connect and who to connect with. So Mint is one of those solutions provided by TraceLink very successfully over the last 5 years that enable small companies to make those connections in a fairly easy way without making any investment. So that's what Mint is. And the next one from Boston Insights is something more advanced. They, if I may say, that they have been working with a very, very large biopharma company. I'll let them mention the name. You know them very well. And they have implemented a pretty good system to integrate the stakeholders of clinical trials, including IRT. So I think we as a community learn a lot from that one. It is preliminary, but I think it's the beginning of something very, very important. Is that okay, Bill?
Yeah, great, thank you. So before I get on to the next subject, anybody have any comments about webinars?
Bill, I think that the list looks great. There's a lot of exciting topics here. Regarding the September 24th one, for whatever reason, I don't see that on my calendar. And I know we have problems where stuff goes into our spam folders or gets moved out. So I don't know if others have the same problem, but maybe resending that would be good.
Yeah, I have the same issue my side, Charles. So resending, I think, would be helpful.
Okay, I can do that, or help me test our system. Go to our website, look for that event and register.
Will do.
And if you have a problem, feel free to email me, and I'll make sure you get the invitation. Okay. Any other comments, questions on webinars?
I would just make a redundant statement, Bill, and that is, I'm counting on the members of our steering committee to forward the invitation to their colleagues if they feel it's appropriate. Because our list, as you know, is limited. But if they find that there are other people in their organization who could benefit, hey, please forward that invitation to them, and we will be able to serve more people.
Yeah. Thank you. And sort
It
of
is
to
not,
jump
it
on
is
that.
not happening. It is not happening today. It is
Yeah,
not
and to
happening
jump on
today.
that as well, relevant to the work stream groups, as pointed out in one of the previous slides, the work stream groups are intended to allow people who have an interest in a particular area, whether it's clinical planning, clinical logistics and trade compliance, or whatever, to interact and have discussions with people who are either subject matter experts or want to become a subject matter experts. And I know that in some ways the workstream groups have sort of gravitated towards spending a lot of their time working on webinars. And I'd like to think that since the webinar work is on cruise control, and with some of the workstream groups, they don't even need to do another webinar between now and the annual conference, that they can use their calls to identify topics that basically, members, want to just talk about. There's so many topics that each of these areas potentially can have a discussion on, so that you basically have not the usual 8-10 people on the call, but it can be the 20, 30, 40 people on the call. And some of them are there, frankly, because they want to listen. They probably don't want to speak because maybe they're not comfortable enough yet, and feel that they need to get up to speed on an area that I'm sure they can learn from those on the call who have been, that know more about that area than perhaps they do. But anyway, just an ask or an encouragement, that many of you have people reporting to you that would benefit not just from these webinars, as the vendor said, but from these workstream group conversations. And hopefully you can pass the meeting invites on to them so that they can take advantage of that.
Bill, I had an observation, and this was building up on a couple of the vendors' comments about stickiness of our value prop to organizations, right? We're not getting enough people show up, we are not sending it out. I was wondering if it might be possible for us to say that, hey, when you become a member and attend so many webinars or participate in so many things, you could get 10-15% off on supply chain certification with our current university partners or with Apex or something. Then that way there's something tangible that you won't get it for free just because you paid our money, but you have to participate for 5-10 webinars, and then you can get the 10-15% off if you want to give it to somebody else within your organization to get their supply chain certification. Apex, University of Tennessee, a whole bunch of other partners could, or University of Arizona could come into play. That could perhaps increase the engagement a little bit in a tangible way.
That's a good point. I know
I
right
think
now, members, any BSMA member, if they're a manufacturing company, gets to attend the annual conference free of charge, which is a
True.
real good perk.
But in this,
Uh,
so then,
No,
because
back to Jayant's point. You make a damn good point, Jayant. For over 5 years, we've been thinking about a certification program, and the certification program would be exactly what you said. You get credits for joining webinars. You get credits for the conference. But I'll be very honest with you, we don't have the backbone yet to come over the certification program. I'm just being very
I'm
candid.
not, I'm not saying,
Now that, right?
sorry,
I know, but at the end of the day, yeah.
I'm not saying we should
But
provide
the
this
point you're making,
ourselves. What I'm saying is we can provide them 10-15% off to go get certificates from either APEC, or we have University of Arizona, Boston University. There's so many people who are giving out the supply chain certifications, right? So we could set up tie-ins with these academic institutions and with APEX and said that, hey, we have to.
correct.
So I wasn't saying that we
I
should
think
do the training.
so. I get your point. If I play back what you suggested, that we ought to tie in with the certification program entity. And by the way, I have explored that idea with Arizona State University, and we are not there yet. But I'm not giving up, Jayant. I think it's still a damn good idea. But that, to me, there's more fundamental issues of getting greater participation. That helps, but to me, that's not a primary driver of participation in webinars. I think people are very busy today, and they're getting bombarded by all kinds of messages, and it's a tough world out there. But the webinars, as Bill has just enumerated, you can see the value proposition here. And the job becomes one of communicating this, messaging it to a larger community. And all I'm requesting our members to do is to do it internally in their organizations. And we'll do it externally as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for the those suggestions, John. Okay, the annual conference is scheduled for next March 18th and 19th, same place as it's been in the past, Crown Plaza Hotel. There are the vendor and with input from many so far have put together what I'll call a draft list of topics to go over there. And what I'm doing here is paring it down specific to this group by saying that that currently it's planned for 2 days. And for those of you who attended in the past, you know that there's generally a number of plenary sessions and panel discussions. the ask from me is that that the planning, the clinical planning and operations workstream group and the clinical technology workstream group tag team and come up with 3 panel discussions that address the first bullet you see there, that address planning, technology, and IRT. So you could have 3 panels, one for each topic there, or merge it so that all 3 topics or 2 of these 3 are in a panel. But basically, the ask is that you've got 3 sessions that where you can identify topics and potential panelists for those sessions. Same with the clinical logistics and trade compliance. There'll be my ask is that work stream group come up with a topic relevant to that area. The commercial product launch come up with a topic for there. And since 2 of the 3 co-chairs for the strategic sourcing on this call, one of the things I'll be asking of you is to come up with a panel, a topic for a panel discussion relevant to that area. The other topic or question on the table is if there's demand for it, we can add a 3rd day to this conference. I believe it would be the day before, so that would be the Tuesday, March 17th, to have a number of workshops so that the plan there would be to avoid what happened last year where workshops sort of took away from the main session. This time, just give them their own slate the day before, where ideally it would be, depending on what people suggest, either a half a day or a full day of, half day workshop, so to speak, so that people could take advantage of that opportunity. The last point before I open it up for discussion is last year, many folks who were on this call did a lot of the heavy lifting for some of the panels. They picked the topic, they identified speakers, and late in the game, sponsors were identified that requested that they join those particular panels. And it goes without saying that, without the sponsors, we wouldn't be able to afford giving complimentary attendance to the members, or the $500 and something for the service provider members, because clearly it costs a lot more per person than that to put on this event. So what's going on in parallel to what we're doing here and now is that there is a meeting scheduled, I believe it's next week, with service providers who will be informed about sponsorship opportunities. And the idea is that if a sponsor is interested in, if 1 or 2 sponsors interested in sponsoring an event, we pair them up with the workstream groups who are working on those events, so that if there needs to be some tweaking of the topic, it happens in harmony, and as opposed to what might have happened to 1 or 2 events last year where it just could have been organized better. And that's what we're trying to do here, is to organize it a little better. So with that said, I'm hoping by now some of you have seen some announcements that are going out in, among other areas, LinkedIn, that's announced the date of this event. And on our website, it explains some of the topics. So these are just suggestions of topics that uh, you folks on the call might consider from within your workstream groups. Here's this slide I put in there is a refresher for this is a poll that I took last September of topics that the folks who took the poll voted on as far as what topics they wanted us to consider for future webinars in conferences. Here's more information specific to digital transformation, strategic sourcing, logistics. These are topics potentially for the plenary sessions. So there's far too much information for me to take the time to go over bullet by bullet. But what I really wanted to do here is to take the remaining time of this call to hear from you about primarily two things. One, what topics you would like to be considered, and two, is there an appetite for workshops on a day 3 for this event? I'm going to start with you, Sasha, and sort of pick on you and get your thoughts to both.
Yeah, there are two comments from my side, or three, if we take the content or potential topic into consideration as well. First is, do we have agreed on a deadline by when we need the information, and also if we want to go ahead with the workshop on a one day before of the event?
No, we haven't agreed on a deadline. A lot of that's
Okay.
yeah, we haven't. I know that in a perfect world, you want it identified before Thanksgiving so
Okay.
that we can start putting more detail in whatever marketing information we have. But a lot of that has to do with our dependence on the work stream groups and our dependence on sponsors.
Yeah, I mean, March looks far away, but we all know how it is. Yeah, you turn around and you look back, and suddenly it's already beginning of March, and then you're already under pressure. The second topic is, I mean, I'm coming from the sponsor side, but as Rutesh said once, even after 2 years, I don't know what your company is doing, and I hope my boss doesn't hear about it. But one of my feedback to some of the panels was also that it was too sponsor heavy. And I mean, it sounded like they were reading from a fact sheet or from a sales brochure. And I think it's good to have sponsors, but we also need to make sure that there's a quality contribution coming from their side. So I think that's a mandate from my side. If we open it up to more sponsors, great. If they participate with knowledge and experience and not just with sales facts. The third topic, I already shared the synopsis for the QP part. Doesn't matter if it's a half day or full day workshop or just the presentation. I think it's especially looking at our audience or target groups of small, medium biotech. For me, this is a critical topic. And even so, QPs are around for decades. There's still a lot of question mark, especially here on the US West Coast. And then I think when going through the list of topics here, there are a couple that could be consolidated into one bigger topic. But
Yeah, and that's why I said what I said earlier is, I'm giving you carte blanche as one of the co-chairs of the work stream to basically manage that.
yeah, And what we discussed as well as a thought comment from my side, I mean, having the comparator sourcing webinar, I think it might be good to add it to the agenda as a presentation, for example, to summarize what we discussed during the webinar. So the QP and the strategic comparator sourcing and how you can collaborate with clinical operations would be my two favorite topics.
Sasha, I had a comment. So I agree with you in terms of the sponsor management, and we can perhaps proactively manage expectations with the sponsor by just sending them having a conversation by email, phone, what you're saying. Hey, when you come to our seminar to add value to our clientele, we would expect more of a conversation on how our our audience can benefit, and our preference would be not to have a sales pitch. Then we can actively manage them and shape our asking, this is how I want my burger to be built.
Yeah. I mean, if you mainly have BD persons sitting there, and I'm in that boat, I know it, but it wasn't on the clinical panel, so I can share this here. But I think it was on the commercial logistics panel where it was like a United rep, and I'm flying with United. It's fine, they are great. But if they are just trying to sell without having the real detailed operational knowledge and the challenge awareness about the horror story spill that you always like to hear, I think that's counterproductive. So I fully agree. Let's make sure we vet them up front and challenge them a little bit, and then see how if they are a good fit.
Yeah, we always try to do that, and it's historically it seems there's one service provider every year that we sort of have to um, shake our heads and say, I wish they didn't do what they did. And most of them haven't been invited back. Okay. Kat, how about comments from you about suggestions for topics and your thoughts about a third day for workshops?
Yeah, I'm in support of a third day, and I would kind of expand it beyond just workshops, but roundtables. There's been a couple conferences I've gone to lately that have done roundtables, and I would say they are by far some of the more energetic and takeaway elements of like really getting to know people and discuss things. So I would encourage maybe to add roundtables to that, or add roundtables as part of the 2 days. It kind of breaks things up a little bit instead of just hearing people talk.
Would you could consider, since all the workstream group meetings are virtual, would you consider having a in-person workstream group meeting, meeting the definition of roundtable?
That's, yeah, not a bad idea. In order, just bring people together face to face, solidifying that interaction.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that many of us are members of multiple work streams.
Yes, and that's where I was going next, Sasha, right? Because we basically had 41 people, and 30 of them or so are on all of the work streams, so that's probably going to raise conflicts to get to
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But again, I keep
particular-
thinking of the traditional biopharma company, a Bayer certainly can afford to delegate people to attend every one of these.
Yeah.
If
So,
they,
I mean, I think it's good to, and you're gonna get better attendance at the conference in general than we have seen traditionally at the work streams. So, I think it's a good opportunity to have that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think in general, I mean, these are all great topics and easily put together. And I leave it to the work streams. They've always done a great job putting good panels together. And I think what a lesson learned from last year is just to make sure that we clearly articulate the abstract and the goals of each of our panels to make sure we are not getting too much overlap.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that we have 4 workstream group meetings going on between now and the last day of the month. So a lot's going on. Can I know Tony had to drop off, so she was the only representative here of the clinical logistics one. But Charles, I know you're on there, Kat, Don, Sasha. Can I ask all of you to sort of at your upcoming work stream group meetings later this month, kind of draw out from the audience their answers to these two questions. A, what topic do we topics for the conference, and gauge their level of interest for a workshop and topics for that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it can be addressed at the next.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the plan.
Great. Great. So we only have 1 minute left. So I just wanted to announce, as you see on this slide, the date of the last meeting of the year, November 13th. I haven't sent out the meeting invite to that yet. But other than that, are there any other comments from people on the call about any topic that we talked about today?
I just wanted to mention, I like the idea of a workshop, whether it be before or after, maybe consider after the meeting.
Oh, that Friday, so people can spend the weekend maybe.
Yeah, or, yeah, just consider travel and what might, like rather than being a whole day, maybe a half day. Even if it's before, just so that people can maybe not stay an extra night, but they say, hey, I can do this because I can fit it in
Yeah.
with my travel.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that Friday morning, and that way people can either go home that Friday afternoon or spend the weekend in San Francisco.
Sorry, I got to drop off for another meeting. Bye, guys.
Okay. Okay, but good suggestion. Thank you for that, Tom. Okay. I mean, Kristen. All right, so if that's it for everybody, thank you for calling in and for your great input.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful
Thanks.
rest of the
Bye.
day.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.